I'm Asa Henderson, the production director of the Academy of Therapy Wisdom, and I'm here with Dr. 1Drea Pennington Wasio. We just finished recording her amazing course on the trauma-informed psychedelic therapist. She's an MD and a psychedelic therapist, and so Dr. 1Drea, what are you most excited about being able to offer this course through the Academy of Therapy Wisdom?
Well, thank you again for having me, and thank you to Brian and the rest of the team. I'm most excited about helping therapists help their clients. We've talked about this a lot, you and I, but there are so many people that are going into psychedelic journeys unprepared. And there are people who are flying off and doing retreats in other countries and sitting with sacred plant medicines. And then when they return, they're not getting the proper integration. Either their therapist is clueless about these things, or they're afraid to even share with their therapist. So I really am excited to be able to offer this course as kind of like a first step for first trauma-informed psychedelic integration and preparation. That's really important because a lot of people who have trauma are hearing or they're reading accounts of people who've healed their trauma, and it actually can happen, but there's significant preparation and there's very important pitfalls that we need to avoid. And so that's why I'm excited about getting this course out. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Yep. It was really interesting to record it with you because you cover a very broad range of information that I think it'd be very important for therapists to know. But one of the things that you really focus on is culturally competent integration and preparation for psychedelic experiences. Do you want to say a few words about that and how important it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's multiple aspects to this cultural competency and the need for it. But just to start off from the perspective of the therapist. So if we are receiving clients who have some marginalized identity, whether that's their sexual identity or orientation or their race and ethnicity, then we have to understand that they are carrying within themselves probably a great deal of trauma already. And just being in a therapeutic alliance requires a certain container. So I say all of that because as soon as they go off and do a psychedelic journey or sit even with something like ketamine, this is going to drop down their defenses, the things that we others of marginalized identities have used as coping strategies to like get along in the world. And then when you return to that therapist, there's a certain vulnerability. Like we're really cut wide open when you're sitting with sacred medicines. And so you need to have a therapeutic container and an alliance with a therapist that is at least willing to confront the elephant in the room if they don't share the same identities that you do. So I think when we weave that into this course, the trauma-informed psychedelic therapist, that cultural competency lens is really, really critical. I've personally interviewed folks who experienced re-traumatization based on their marginalized identities after sitting in ceremony. And I can also say that for myself, I had suffered with depression for many years in my life, and I had been to traditional talk therapy. I tried antidepressants. I really, really did everything that I could to address the depression. But the very interesting thing is for 99% of the therapists I saw, they never asked me about how my race or ethnicity impacted my life. And it really wasn't glaringly obvious to me how much I suffered as a result of certain internalized racism and whatever, until I actually sat with a Black psychiatrist and sat in ceremony with a Black shaman. And that was in my 30s and 40s when that actually happened. So really late kind of in my own development. And so now fast forward to where we are today, and we now recognize that having someone who gets you, whether they share the same identity or not, as long as they can acknowledge and recognize your heritage, your intersectionality, that can play a huge role in developing trust. And especially if you're going to go into a psychedelic experience, you want to have that relationship building up and leading to a successful journey.
Well, I am super excited to be able to release this course. I'm glad that you joined us at Academy of Therapy Wisdom to offer this. I think our audience will really appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I love that we get to do the pre-recorded modules so that you can nerd out and watch it as many times as you want. And then these live sessions as well. I really like being able to interact with the community of learners live to answer questions, to really fine tune these points. So I'm super excited as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. 1Drea.